Emma, a school teacher in South Africa, was counting down the hours to her much-anticipated school vacation. She planned a solitary retreat to her father's remote house, a place of quiet solace. However, her excitement was overshadowed by a recent, heated argument with her boyfriend. As she was preparing to leave, the school's security guard informed her that her cousin had left some camping equipment for her to take to her father's. With her car packed, Emma set off, immediately calling her father to announce her arrival. During their conversation, she poured out her frustrations about the fight with her boyfriend. Her father, a former Special Forces lieutenant, jokingly inquired if she needed him to sort out her boyfriend, a suggestion Emma quickly dismissed, assuring him that she could handle her own relationship issues. Meanwhile, a group of criminals, led by a ruthless man named Bosman, were engaged in smuggling illicit goods. Their plan was to transport the contraband to the South African border. Bosman, along with his nephew Pete, who was new to the operation and visibly nervous, and their crew, departed in 2 vehicles. Bosman, noticing Pete's anxiety, tried to reassure him that everything would proceed smoothly. Back on the road, Emma received a heartfelt message from her boyfriend, expressing his enduring love. The message prompted her to pull over, as she still harbored feelings for him. Their argument had stemmed from an incident where Emma witnessed her boyfriend resorting to violence, a behavior she strongly condemned. He claimed he had acted in self-defense. Simultaneously, Pete, driving the lead vehicle, was pulled over by a police officer. His nervousness was palpable as he fumbled for his driver's license, raising the officer's suspicions. The men in the second vehicle attempted to distract the officer by asking for directions, but the officer remained focused on Pete's vehicle. As tensions escalated, the officer drew his weapon, leading to a standoff. The officer, realizing he was outmatched, offered to let them go and remained silent. However, Bosman, unwilling to take any risks, ordered his men to eliminate the officer. They drove to a secluded area. Coincidentally, Emma was traveling along the same route when her car suddenly broke down. Stranded and without cell service, she was unable to contact her father. Meanwhile, Bosman's group prepared to execute the police officer. Bosman instructed Pete to carry out the act, but Pete, inexperienced with firearms, was hesitant. Bosman told him to practice by shooting at rocks first. The sound of the gunshots reached Emma, who, assuming it was hunters, decided to approach them for water to replenish her radiator. Within Bosman's group, a disagreement arose regarding the execution of the officer, but Bosman overruled any objections. As Pete was about to shoot the officer, Emma arrived, witnessing the brutal act. The shock caused her to drop a bottle, alerting the criminals to her presence. They pursued her, eventually capturing her. Bosman and his men intended to assault her before killing her. However, the police officer, who was not yet dead, managed to escape in his car, diverting the criminals' attention. They pursued him, but Bosman, with a cold efficiency, shot him from a distance, ending his life. In the meantime, Emma, left alone, managed to free herself from her restraints. She retrieved her cousin's camping gear and discovered that the guard assigned to her had been negligent. Bosman, upon discovering her escape, was enraged, knowing she was now a witness to their crimes. They began their search for her. Emma, hiding behind rocks, observed their movements through binoculars. She realized they were tracking her footprints and attempted to mislead them by creating false trails. Emma's father, growing concerned about her delayed arrival, tried to contact her repeatedly, but without success. Bosman's group, having found her abandoned vehicle, identified Emma and relayed the information via radio. Pete, a former ranger, offered to track her using her footprints. They followed her trail, with one of the men deliberately erasing their own tracks. The criminals reached the area where Emma had been hiding, but she was gone. She was observing them from a distance, using her binoculars. Recognizing their tracking method, she devised a plan to confuse them with false footprints. This tactic proved effective, causing Pete, the experienced tracker, to become disoriented. Bosman decided to split the group to cover more ground. Elsewhere, a driver, a friend of Emma's father, spotted her abandoned car. He called out her name but received no response. He then drove to a location with cell service and contacted Emma's father. Upon learning of the situation, Emma's father immediately set out to find her. Emma, finding a water source, suspected it was contaminated and attempted to purify it. 2 of Bosman's men, AJ and Boella, spotted her. AJ wanted to alert the others, but Boella, with sinister intentions, silenced him. Boella planned to assault Emma before reporting her location. Emma's father and his friend arrived at the location of her abandoned car. They discovered that someone had attempted to erase footprints. Emma's father, deducing that his daughter was being hunted by multiple individuals, remained calm. He told his friend that reporting to the police would be futile, as Emma was well trained in survival skills, though she had a weakness in shooting. Boella, confronting Emma with a gun, was met with her pleas for mercy, as Emma detested violence. Boella, dismissing her as weak, was swiftly neutralized by Emma's knife. AJ, growing impatient, tried to contact Boella but received no response. He then reported Emma's location to the others, a transmission Emma overheard via Boella's radio. Emma, seizing the opportunity, challenged the criminals, threatening to report them to the police if they failed to capture her within 2 hours. Bossman and his men arrived at Boella's location, where they recklessly drank the contaminated water, except for Bossman. They resumed their pursuit of Emma. AJ, reaching a rocky area, was killed by a rock thrown by Emma. Emma continued to monitor them through her binoculars. Bossman, spotting her, fired a shot, which she narrowly avoided. Pete, succumbing to the effects of the contaminated water, spotted Emma, entering a series of empty houses. Bossman fired again but missed. He then ordered his men to surround the houses while he took aim from a distance. Emma's father, confident in his daughter's abilities, returned home. Inside the houses, Emma eliminated one of Bossman's men. Bossman then ordered Pete to enter the houses. Pete, cornered by Emma, begged for mercy, promising to leave her alone. Emma, showing compassion, allowed him to leave. However, Pete betrayed her, revealing her location. Emma was forced to kill him. Moving to another house, Emma encountered another of Bossman's men. A struggle ensued and Emma, utilizing her close combat skills, eliminated him. Bossman, noticing the lack of communication from his men, decided to investigate. He confronted Emma, challenging her to a shootout. Despite her aversion to firearms, Emma managed to shoot Bossman, killing him. Despite a gunshot wound to her shoulder, Emma walked to her father's house. Upon reuniting, she casually mentioned that she had been practicing her shooting. Later at the hospital, Emma apologized to her boyfriend, acknowledging that violence, though regrettable, was sometimes necessary in extreme circumstances.